We had to get that in.
We didn't get to hear the whole scoop with Jackson Withrow, but it's great because we had an interview played about 20 minutes ago. This is Tracy Austin speaking with Gigi Salmon on site for some more insight.
Well, I'm glad to be joined by my colleague in Madrid, Gigi Salmon. So, Gigi, this is a big news story in tennis in the world. Tell us what has happened in Madrid.
Well, Tracy, the first thing to say is I'm in Madrid, but I have this rather sort of ugly backdrop. I'm actually in the TV compound because it's the only area within the Madrid Masters and possibly within Madrid that has power. So the time is 20 to 6 local time, and at 12:30 this afternoon, the power went. We were in full swing with the matches, and suddenly the electronic line calling, that was gone. And they said, well, we'll carry on. It's not a problem. But then they realized that there wasn't any power anywhere, to the point where Spider-Cam was loitering in the Dimitrov-Fernley match. And Jacob Fernley said, well, I can't play because it's there and we can't move it. And then, Tracy, word started to spread that it might not just be at the Magic Box, the Caja Magica, but it might be within Madrid, and then in Spain, and then possibly Portugal, and then in southern France. And when that started to filter through, the players were taken off court because nothing could happen, and all the courts were cleared. And from then it became, Tracy, it was quite surreal. There was no power anywhere. And you know the Magic Box, it's very dark in the communal areas. The lifts weren't working. There were people stuck in the lifts. They couldn't buy food or drink because the cash registers weren't working. People couldn't pay for anything. In the players' restaurant, they were eating by candlelight because it was so dark. There was darkness, Tracy, absolutely everywhere. The players could practice. They could come out onto the courts, but they started to tell the players, if you're at the hotel, don't come on site. And they told the players on site, don't leave site. And they told the spectators they weren't allowed to leave. And Tracy, you add in Madrid, there were no traffic lights. We have a colleague currently stuck at the airport because the luggage carousel isn't working. There are people stranded in cars in the middle of Madrid. I mean, it's absolute chaos. And as I speak to you at 20 to 6, we still have no sign or no knowledge of when the power's going to come back.
That is insane. So have you talked to any players about some of their stories and what they are going through?
Yeah, I did. I actually went to see, working with Sky UK, so following the Brits, I went to see if Jack Draper was here. He was due to be fourth on court 3. I knew he was practicing, but I bumped into Jamie Murray along the way, and Jamie playing with Rajiv Ram, due to be fourth on. And I said, what do you know? He said, we know nothing. No one's told us anything. He said, we were here this morning and all they have said to us is we can't leave. He said, we were told that the night session would be cancelled because the mayor didn't want any more spectators coming in to the Magic Box because there was no power. And he was also told that the army was going to be brought out into Madrid this evening because the shops were shut, the restaurants, there's no power, shutters couldn't come down and alarms couldn't work. And he said it's silly things like there was no racket stringing, so we couldn't string a racket. He went out to practice and came back, and he said the shower was freezing. And when it came to eating, he said that the salad bar was empty, they couldn't cook anything. These seem like small things, but Tracy, you know, the guys and girls are finely tuned athletes. They're preparing for big matches, and they didn't really know the situation. And a couple of other players walked past, and they just, well, we're going to practice, and then we don't know what to do because we have been told at this point that we can't leave site. And it was just after 4 o'clock local time when the spectators were actually told that the matches were cancelled and they were allowed to leave site, but not to take the cars. And that is when the players were told they could start to make their way back to the hotels, because we were due to have 16 singles matches today. Just 2 were completed. We had Jacob Fernley, Grigor Dimitrov in the second set. So that's still 14 matches that they have to get through, and we still have no idea when the power is going to come back. So I think it's been difficult for the players, Tracy, because there was no information the tournament could give because they didn't have any information. It's a bit like me talking to you. I can't tell you when it's going to come back on because no one's told us anything. At the moment, I'm preparing for an hour walk back to the hotel. The cars will stay here. And at the moment, our hotel has told us we have a generator for now, but the longer this power outage goes, the chances are the generator will shut down and then we will have no power from there.
So just to confirm, it sounds like the night matches have been canceled, but the day matches, like the Dimitrov match that's still going on, that hasn't been canceled yet?
No, everything's been cancelled.
Everything.
Initially, the first plan was to cancel the night session. Yeah, they didn't want more people coming on for the night session. But when they realized that they had no time, that the power was going to come back on, and they did tell us, should they get power, it would be another half an hour before play could start. They just came to the conclusion it wasn't coming back anytime soon, and they had to start letting people make their way off-site. As I mentioned, there were some people in the lifts that they're still trying to get out. They couldn't buy food and drink because the kiosks weren't working, and you couldn't pay by credit card, and everyone just has credit cards these days. So they decided the best and the safest thing to do was to cancel play for the day. In terms of when it's going to start, the schedule for tomorrow, we're all in the same position. We do not know what the plan will be. But you mentioned Fernley and Dimitrov. The winner of that match was due to play tomorrow. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out from here.
So, Gigi, what's your plan? You get your tennis shoes on and take a walk? First of all, congrats for finding the one place where you found some power. I love seeing that tennis channel mic in front of you. We're used to working together at BBC. But, Gigi, what's your plan and your crew's plan next?
Well, the plan is we've done our little sign-off, this is the latest, nothing else is going to happen, there's no more tennis. We've had a little look at how to get back to the hotel because, as I said, they're saying you can't take the cars and there's no traffic lights working, you'll get stuck. So we have a 1-hour walk back to the hotel with the team. We've packed our rucksacks full of, it feels a little bit like the end of the world, Tracy. I've packed it full of snacks from the cabin and lots of water to get us back. And that is the plan. And when we get back to the hotel, we just have to hope we're charging everything up here because we don't know if they'll still be charged back at the hotel. And then we go from there. So the plan is we start the walk. I hope we don't get lost. It's getting a little bit cooler. And we go again tomorrow. So
what does it look like when you go to where the players are waiting? So sounds like there's still a bunch of players waiting there in the dark, waiting to see when they can, are they going to be having to walk back as well?
Well, I think, not the funny thing, but they are battery-powered cars, which it's a wonderful thing for the environment, but not when you can't charge them because they're all electric. So we're hoping that they have enough charge. I think they're going to have to see what the traffic's like in the city, if the army has come out to try and ease congestion. But that's why they were stopping the players leaving and coming onto site, because they don't know how long it will take to get them home. The sight of the players, Tracy, eating by candlelight in the players' restaurant was so surreal, sort of hunkered round the tables. They'll start to make their way out. A number of them are still practicing. I mentioned Jack Draper. He was out practicing with Tommy Paul a short while ago. From a British point of view, Cameron Norrie was there, and Jamie Murray said he might go back out with Rajiv Ram just to practice a little bit because they are there. And it's actually the only thing they can do because everywhere is dark. We're having to use the lights on our phone to walk through corridors, to go down staircases. There are no lights anywhere apart from here in the TV compound. So the players have been taking it quite well. Everyone is in the same boat. There's nothing that can be done. They're not frustrated. I think they're just wondering what happens now. But the good thing, Tracy, we talk so much about the new elongated Masters and people saying, well, I'm not sure about the 2-week format. It does give them leeway when something like this happens. They do have that extra time. They will be able to fit the matches in should they get the power back up and running. So as Jamie was saying to me, he said it's not a problem at this stage because we have the extra days these days in the Masters. So he was quite relaxed. I would say it was just, everyone was just quite puzzled. And a few people, Tracy, I don't drink coffee, but a few coffee drinkers are getting very twitchy because the coffee machines are not working. And I think it was Jamie's coach said, I haven't had a coffee in 5 hours and I'm getting a little twitchy. So that could be the one issue as things stand.
Yeah, that's going to affect everybody in Spain, Gigi. They like their coffee. But Gigi, thank you so much for an incredible update. We're halfway around the world, so we can't really understand what's exactly happening over there. And Gigi, best of luck.
Oh, Tracy, like an absolute pleasure to speak to you, and hopefully we'll get back up in the running sometime soon. Maybe the next time we speak, we'll have a better backdrop.
We're happy to have it. Put your tennis shoes on and start walking.
Great images, great update, but how about the Hall of Famer Tracy Austin? World News host reporter.
We had about 35 seconds. Get ready for that.
We have a hurricane in the East Coast coming.
Don't leave us ever. Okay, that was great. Some of those scenes were pretty startling as well, because we think, oh, the tennis is canceled. How are their players going to get to their hotel? Electric cars. But when you think about the metros come to a halt, I think we have some video of the planes when they're getting, misdirected. They don't get into Portugal or to Spain. It's crazy stuff.
It's crazy stuff. And well, look at all the critics of having a long event. Look who's laughing now.
Yeah, and actually getting some days. Give them some days. Yeah.
That's a good point. To clear out the schedule, here.
That
look at
is
this traffic.
something a little bit more important than forehand down the lines.
Yeah,
Why are
100%.
all my planes on this map?
All right, great update from Gigi. Justin Gatlin is going to be joining us the next few minutes. Excited for that chat.